All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Kif Strike Back by C.J. Cherryh. This is book number 3 in her Chanur saga of 5 science fiction novels. This came out in 1985. Now let's talk about the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. This has got a painting by Michael Whelan on the cover. In fact, I've got the entire series here of 5 books, and they all have cover illustrations by Michael Whelan. And as you know, my favorite science fiction and fantasy illustrator is Michael Whelan. So let's just go up here and look at the those covers. You know, this is book number 1, which was Chanur's, The Pride of Chanur. Book number 2, Chanur's Venture. Now, I have done book reviews of both books 1 and 2 on the channel, so if you want to watch those book reviews before watching the review for book 3, all you need to do is, type in my last name into your YouTube search bar, and then C.J. Cherryh's name, and those book reviews will magically appear upon your television screen. So anyway, book 3 is, of course, The Kif Strike Back, and that's the one we're going to be reviewing now. And then Homecoming is book 4, and then Chanur's Legacy is book 5. All great Michael Whelan paintings for the series, as you can see. Now, I will say, if I were to rank these paintings in order of my favorite, book 3 probably has my least favorite painting. I'll just be honest about that. But Michael Whelan's paintings are all dope, so even... Oh, before we get to the review, I'll show you my entire C.J. Cherryh book collection. There's all my C.J. Cherryh books. I mean, that's a lot of books. I don't know, I've never counted how many of them I've got, but I've got pretty much all of the books that she's written. One of my favorite science fiction authors. Okay, let's get to The Kif Strike Back. Oh, I'm going to tip all these over. Let's do another little experiment. Let's look at let's see if all of the spines look good on the shelf together. No, it's just a clusterfuck of a bunch of different designs. But that's okay. I don't mind if a publisher publishes a series and every book has a different design on the spine. That doesn't bother me. What I hate is when the first 3 books have a certain design, and then the second 2 books have a different design, and then it just looks wonky as... But if it's inconsistent from the jump, I don't really care. Okie dokie. Let's get to this book review. We talked about the cover. Now, there is a map of what is called contact space. So there is a map in here of the different star systems and different places that we might adventure to in this space opera. Now, contact space is, from what I can gather from the C.J. Cherryh overarching universe, is kind of where a lot of her space opera science fiction novels take place. So she's got a lot of different space opera series that take place in this contact space universe. But she got a map for it in here. So book 1, we'll go to book 1. And book 1, the setup of the whole story is there's a spaceship called the Pride of Chanur. It's captained by and we can show you here. It's captained by one of these cat-like looking creatures, which are called the Hani. And their nemesis are these kind of lizard-looking creatures here called the, what are they called? I can't remember what they're called at the moment. They're the hugest part of the, let me see, it's probably on the back here. No, it doesn't even say. The Kif. It's on the cover, folks. The Kif Strike Back. So the Kif are these lizard-like looking creatures And here's a whole bunch of headless ones. For some reason on the cover here we got some headless ones with heads on a spike with the cat guys looking on. But the Kif, so it's the Hani, the cat-like creatures, versus the Kif. That's kind of the way it is, and it's very gritty. These books are pretty gritty. I mean, the way that C.J. Cherryh describes these starships that they fly around in, they're all kind of beat up and kind of like, they're not like real slick and polished. They're kind of like the old Star Wars movies where everything looks like it's been used a lot. Like the set design of those original Star Wars movies looked like everything had been weather beaten quite a bit. That's kind of the gist of these books. And so we've got the Hani versus the Kif. Those are the main two combatants in this. But then we've got the humans and a couple of other different alien races. But the humans in this book, especially in the first book, are rare. Like, there's only one human. But anyway, in the first book, the human Tully, he's got some problems, and so he stows away. He's a stowaway in the cat creature's ship, the Pride of Chanur. And that's where our adventure begins. Now we're in this book, the captain of the Pride of Chanur is Pyanfar, one of the cat-like Hani. Another one of the characters that's big in this is Hilfi, her relative. And then we've got, kind of this human Tully, who's another character. They've kind of built a mutual respect, even though they find out he's a stowaway and shouldn't be on their ship. They kind of have this mutual respect going between them, and they're kind of protective of each other. And in these books is a lot of space opera, action adventure, political intrigue, space battles, gritty space opera. In this book, much like The Empire Strikes Back in Star Wars, things go, and the tide of the war turns a little bit. But in this book, of course, the Kif strike back, and the Kif are the lizard-looking creatures, the headless ones even. Don't know how they're striking back without their heads, but I did a real horse shit job of describing anything in this book. So let's one of the things I like about this book in particular is in all the books is the alien Kif and the Hani, they don't speak English, of course. So a lot of times they speak their own language in the book, and it's not translated for us. I don't know why, but I just found that charming. Like, I don't know what they're saying to each other, but it kind of adds to the atmosphere, the overall atmosphere of, hey, we're in outer space dealing with creatures that humans don't have contact with, really. Anyway, okay, so Chanur's Revenge, Kif Power versus Hani Pride. When the Kif seized Hilfi and Tully, now Hilfi is Pyanfar's relative, one of the cat people, and Tully, of course, is the human. So when the Kif seized Hilfi and Tully, the Hani and the human crew of the Pride of Chanur, they issued a challenge. I should never even try to read anything off the back jackets because I cannot read out loud to save my life. Anyway, the captain of the Pride of Chanur, Pyanfar, couldn't ignore a challenge that was to take Pyanfar and her shipmates to Mikas Station and into a deadly confrontation between Kif, Hani, and the Mahanda Sat. The Mahanda Sat are another alien race. And what began as a simple rescue attempt soon blossoms into a dangerous game of interstellar politics where today's ally could become tomorrow's executioner, and where methane breathers become volatile wild cards playing for stakes no oxygen breather could even begin to understand. Anyway, these are some great science fiction books. Just great, classic, down-to-earth, gritty space opera science fiction books with several alien races that are cool and some human interactions, and you don't really know. I mean, the characters are kind of living in this who's the antagonist, who's the protagonist kind of gray area, and I just like it. I'm going to give this one a solid 8 out of 10 for the Kif Strike Back.